Today we are going to talk about indigo, written by Louis Fisher in his book The Life of Mahatma Gandhi, which is considered as one of the best books ever written on Gandhi by Times Educational Supplement. It starts so. When I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1917. Sevagram Ashram, as you know, is situated just 1 hour travel from our place from here. It is at Wardha in Maharashtra. In 1917, it's considered to be the first Satyagraha movement. It's considered to be the first farmers' uprising. Growing indigo was barely without any payment was the reason why there was a mass uprising. The mass uprising was organized by Mahatma Gandhi. The youth were organized towards the freedom struggle. Indigo was used to make dye. Germans' invention of the cheaper dye led to the fall of the demand for indigo. During First World War, German dye became unavailable, but yet the tenants were compelled to cultivate. It was a cash crop and it required high water intake. And the local farmers preferred the daily needed crops like rice and pulses. But the farmers were forced to increase the production. It was naturally, with the help of Gandhi, they could organize the first level of the disobedience movement, the Khatya system, where they were compelled to grow indigo while expanding the textile imports. And the best parts of the were rented for their product, which was used for indigo cultivation. First of all, we have two steps in this. The introduction of the synthetic dye was leading to the increased rent, thereby adding to the burden of the farmers. Synthetic dye, as it was introduced, they wanted more and more of the products to be produced, and naturally they increased the rent of the farmers. Secondly, they wanted to shift to other crops. The farmers usually wanted to shift to other crops in order to cultivate, preferentially the daily needed crops, as already mentioned. But in order to do that, they had to pay a compensation. But after the First World War, the synthetic dye's demand fell when Germany was not such a powerful nation. But yet the planters did not reduce the rent burden of the ordinary farmers. And that was how the movement was launched. The non-cooperative movement was experimented here for the first time. And let us see how it happened. Shukla, a resolute sharecropper, went to Gandhi and returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram, and for weeks he never left Gandhi's side. Impressed by the sharecropper's tenacity and story, Gandhi said, I have to be in Calcutta on such and such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free, then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. There, Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad. And you know who Rajendra Prasad is. He is the first President of independent India. He became the President of the Congress Party later. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master. So naturally, they did not help him or did not really notice him at all. He was not even permitted to take drops of water because untouchability was prevalent, and the servants felt that the bucket would pollute the entire source. Gandhi decided to go to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, and to obtain more information about the conditions that Shukla was capable of imparting. Naturally, through the sources like Professor J.B. Kriplani of Muzaffarpur, he tried to obtain information about the said place and the plight of the people over there. Then, it was really the news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of his mission was spreading like conflagration, and the sharecroppers came to meet them in lots of number in great group. The chief commercial crop was indigo. There, the landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20 or 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. This was done by long-term contract. And as I have already told, they learned that Germany had developed a synthetic indigo, and they obtained agreements with the sharecropper to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% agreement. The sharecropping arrangement was not something which was acceptable to the peasants, and many signed willingly. Those who resisted engaged lawyers. The landlords hired them. And meanwhile, the information about the synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed, and they wanted their money back. But at the same time, the landlords were not ready to give it back. Gandhi did not leave, though he was ordered by the British official commissioner to leave it. He decided that he will not be leaving. On the contrary, he decided to obey a higher order, and that is that of his conscience. And soon he launched the movement. With the help of the movement of the people, he succeeded in becoming a representative to talk about the people, talk for the sharecroppers, and he decided to put forward 40% agreement, 40% of the compensation, but the Zamindars and the landlords were ready to pay only 25% of it. But finally he accepted for 26%. He said that if he is allowing them to accept this 26%, he will be able to bring down the arrogance of the government. Naturally, he could prove that the ordinary people could fight against and succeed. This allowed the people to group with Gandhi and to fight against the injustice. He started a new method to remove the illiteracy of the people and make aware the people of the problems faced by them. He also urged the people to rise against the British. The first ever basic school was established as Baranhawa Lackinson village, and with the help of the people and the localites, he studied and surveyed the probable problems which were present there. With the help of them, eminent lawyers like Dr. Rajendra Prasad also helped him in this attempt. He cleaned the villages, started building schools and hospitals, removed untouchability and Parda system, and he started helping the women cause. Also, he found out that the women were wearing wet clothes since they were not having much saris to wear. He helped them too. And thus, the first ever independence struggle started from Champaran. Now, there were people and the British, people like Deen Bandhu Chittaranjan Das, who was ready to help the people. But here, Gandhiji told that will not help them, since it will reduce the morale of the people. And he did not accept the idea of his lawyer friends to take the help of Charles Frere Andrews, the English pacifist, C.F. Andrews, who is also known as Deen Bandhu, because he said that this shows the weakness of one's heart. The cause is just, and one must rely upon oneself to win the battle. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman. Later, Rajendra Prasad commented, he had read our minds correctly and we had no reply. Gandhi, in this way, taught us a lesson of self-reliance. The Champaran struggle showed the peasants that they had rights and defenders. They learned courage. Events justified Gandhi's position too. Within few years, the British planters abandoned their estates, which reverted to the peasants, and indigo sharecropping disappeared forever. Gandhi never contented himself with large political or economic solutions. His political and economic and cultural and social reforms are also shown in Champaran villages. He understood that culturally and socially there was backwardness in the Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. He appealed for teachers because its teachers will start everything. They have to teach many things. Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as disciples, and their wives volunteered for their work. Several more came from Bombay, Pune, and other distant parts of the land. Devadas Gandhi's younger son arrived from ashram, and so did Mrs. Gandhi. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages. Kasturba taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. Health conditions were miserable. Gandhi got a doctor to volunteer his services for 6 months. 3 medicines were available: castor oil, quinine, and sulfur ointment. And anybody who showed a coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil. Anybody with skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women's clothes. He asked Kasturba to talk to them about it. One woman took Kasturba into the hut and said, "Look, there is no box in the cupboard for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only one I have." So this is how he started involving in the women issues and started making aware of the people around him. He made them realize the necessity of really helping the women also. During his long stay in Champaran, Gandhi kept a long distance watch on the ashram. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the residents that it was time to fill in old latrine trenches and dig new ones, otherwise the old ones would begin to smell bad. Thus, the Champaran struggle and the uprising became a turning point in Gandhi's life and also a turning point in the freedom struggle. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will still continue with the second part later sometime. Thank you.
हाँ हाँ